Howdy, everyone. So the right side brake line is now in and complete. Starting from the firewall, as I've shown before, it's just a simple flare that comes out of the firewall, bend. I've got the Gorilla Tape wrapped around the line itself, and then I've got, in this particular situation, I've switched over to tie wraps, and I just run the line down, and then it kind of goes up and over the engine mount where it's welded together here, and then it continues to run across. More tie wraps, more duct tape, another jump here around the welded sections of the engine mount, and then it comes across here and then around this gear leg. You want to make sure you leave clearance or anywhere that the line wraps around or crosses over something. Make sure you have plenty of clearance between the line itself and whatever it is that's crossing. This does not get tie wrapped. This is just a little spacer, again, just to keep the line from rubbing or bumping up against the gear leg. And then, of course, just like the other side, at this location, these locations, I switch back to electrical tape, still using the Gorilla Tape on the line itself, and then wrap it with the half-inch electrical tape. And then, just like the other side, a loop around the axle, and then straight in to the flare fitting here. And again, the caliper is free to move. And as I said in a previous video, that's all to plans, basically. The electrical tape, wrapping the line with something, electrical tape, the loop around. That's all right out of the instructions, nothing special. So this line is done. Both brake lines are now in. A couple of things that I'd like to mention quickly. As I've used in the past, I use these aluminum conical seals, is what we call them in where I work. Sometimes they're called voice shams. Don't really know what they're called today, but they're just, trying to get this off of here. They're just very thin aluminum AN fitting seals that you put on the fitting itself before you put your flared tube on. Here we go. One of those. You get them in different sizes. Of course, this is 1/4 inch for the brake line, but I use these everywhere I have an aluminum fitting that's going to attach to an aluminum piece of tubing. I use these. You can also get them in copper. The aluminum ones are a little bit more difficult to find. I recommend highly that you stick with aluminum. I would not use copper with the aluminum fittings. If you were using stainless steel fittings and stainless steel tubing or hose connections, then the copper would probably work just fine. I believe they also make stainless steel ones, but I'm not sure. But copper with stainless steel would be okay. I don't recommend copper in these situations. I would stick with the aluminum. These particular ones and the other sizes that I had bought, I got those from Wix Aircraft. The other thing is, before you make your final connections, after you get your line run and cut and flared and fitted, before you connect it, flush it. It was very difficult, but I was able to do it. I just disconnected the tubes here. And of course, I have them disconnected at the other end. But this is where I would pour in some alcohol and let it run down the line and fill the tube a little bit. And then down at the bottom end, of course, is where it would drain out. And then I would run some compressed air up here and blow through the tube and blow the alcohol and whatever little debris may have been in the tube from the process of forming it and cutting it and whatnot. So use your aluminum conical seals and flush out your lines before you do any final connecting. So these are done. I think I will now move on to the tail wheel, get that assembly assembled, and hopefully get that installed. And then back there I can take that stand down and actually have it on its all 3 points of gear for the first time. So let me get moving on that, and I will talk to you guys later. Howdy everyone. All right, I apologize up front for the lousy footage on this tail wheel, but I've got my fuselage jammed back in this corner to make room so I can get the engine work started on the front end. So I don't have any really good way of filming this, so I'll do what I can with what I have and just show you what I've done back here. So here is the painted tail spring. It won't show up on the video, I'm sure, but this is the absolute worst paint job I have ever done. It's I literally painted it with brush. I didn't want to spray paint it for different reasons, and the brush that I used was horrible. It was just something I had laying around, so it looks like crap. I mean, it's not horrible. I shouldn't say that it looks like crap. It's just not the best that I've ever done. But this is some good durable paint. I hope it will stand up better than spray paint back here. That's why I used it. But there's the aftermarket tail wheel assembly. This is a Karetakeraero assembly. The connecting arm, the yoke, the fork, and the wheel assembly is all from Karetakeraero. It was a direct fit. I didn't have to drill holes or enlarge holes or anything like that. It fit onto the standard Vans spring just fine. Again, since parts are powder coated, you have to clean out the holes a little bit. You may have to clean out where the tail spring plugs in. You have to grease the bearing. There's a sealed bearing here. I think there's another sealed bearing at the top and in between. Or maybe it's a sealed bearing, and then a roller bearing. But there's a roller bearing in here that needs to be greased. The other sealed bearings, of course, you don't need to worry about. Comes with instructions. Follow the instructions. That's about it. You have to put washers between the wheel and the fork on both sides. Pay attention to that because I had a pretty good sized gap, and you don't want to squeeze the forks to the wheel with the bolt. You don't want to put the bolt in and then rely on that to squeeze the forks closed. You want to have the fork just like it sits and then put spacers in there to take up the gap. And then, of course, you want to grease all your metal parts. So you want to grease up inside here. You want to grease the part of the spring that fits into here, and then on this back end here where the fork fits in to the powder coated assembly that's in the tail, you want to grease up inside there really well too. So that's it. It's just pretty basic stuff, but I just wanted to show you what I've got. So now the plane is on all 3 wheels, and I'm moving on to other things. So I'll cover that when I get there. I'm just getting ready to hang the engine on the front end. But before I do that, I got some prep work to do. So I'll get moving on those kinds of things, and I'll come back and talk to you here later.